Yo, how's it going? Sup, Shredders? My name is Logan, aka Spiderhands, and if we just go to my actual account, here we go. I'll turn that down. Wow, that's loud on my headphones. I'll turn that down a bit so I can concentrate. How you doing, Shredders? My name is Logan, aka Spiderhands, and welcome to SB $6 Song Requests number 2. Hopefully you all have had a fantastic new year so far. Wherever you are, wherever you may be, I think we are only 10 minutes. We are only 10 or 11 minutes late today, which is pretty dope. That's not bad for me personally. Just got my track Glow in the background. If we switch over to here, if you want to hear more of the kind of music that I make, there's a whole lot of different tracks here that you can check out if you like, but it's cool you got me on the big screen. But yeah. I think today what we need to sort of acknowledge, which is kind of cool, I suppose, is that if I go to YouTube and I get away from the absolutely cursed view, we managed to hit 15,000 subscribers, which is great. Granted, I think that with this channel, a lot of the views are more specific to like one person or the other. You know, like for example, if there is a bandmate video, it will basically be a video where there's probably a few thousand views because a lot of people like bandmate, and there's been a bit of consistency with people watching those, and so that's something I'm still figuring out. But just being able to get to 15k is fantastic, so thank you very much for your support. I really appreciate that. I will pause that now simply so I can because I struggle to talk when I have something going on, like when I've got music in the back of my headphones. I just realized how chaotic it is. Can you see, like, clearly if I go to this, can you see the text clearly? Can you see that? Is that like legible for all of you watching this, for anyone watching this, or is it a bit scuffed? I don't know. But as per the post that I made on the page for the channel, I'm gonna put a post up now. So some people, they commented on the post and were like, hey, we should do a Hua Xinyu or David Tao or Xu Jian here, as per people's comments. Who have we got here? So this is, we got a Deepal. So we've got, apparently that translates as oxygenated pests. So I've got oxygenated pests. We've got Liang Lang 9611, and then we've got Jacob as well, Jacob Wrestle God. Yes. So I'm gonna make a poll. I think if I make a poll, we go to text poll. Which musician should we do an album for the 15k sub live review? Oh, I nearly spilt my Coke. That's going over there. That gave me a scare. So we've got Shui Jian, and we've got, is eggs under the red flag? We have done, so by the way, sup Jerry, hi Jimmy, how you all doing? We have done a lot of Hua Xinyu and David Tao. I will give that option though. because so we've got Shui Jian, we've got David Tao, we have got when I hesitate. I want to review Wang Feng in a separate video. We've already done a Wang Feng album. I think that what I want to do is I want to review a Wang Feng song as a separate video. But I don't see why we couldn't put Wang Feng as a person on here as well. And then we have Hua Xin Yu. So this is the options that we have are Sui Jian, David Tao, Wang Feng, and Hua Xin Yu. And what you can do is you can go to the community posts and you can go and vote. So that is the post has been created there. And people, yeah, just let me know what you want to do. I like rock music. I don't know about you guys, but I like rock music. I enjoy my time with it. I think that rock music is awesome. I think, to be fair, part of what arguably we need to do with this channel is try and do stuff that you'll like, so that I continue to keep my horizons open. Dr. Theo, I love metal. I love it a lot. I do enjoy my time with it. Yeah. I know that you can do. Oh, you think Wang Feng has just released his 15th album? Yeah. Okay. So what you can do, Jerry, we can either listen to 5 minutes here, or you can go through the Patreon and get a custom monthly music review. And that means you have a limit of up to 7 minutes. And you also get mentioned at the end of all the videos as like a shout out and stuff like that. Thank you to the people who support via Patreon. I appreciate it. Yeah. It's just when I used to do free reviews, if I was to not have a time limit, like I already kind of ramble with a lot of the conclusions I give, so adding more time to the tracks themselves might have meant that we got through less tracks. You know what I mean? So it's just finding a way to sort of work around that. Yeah. We are going to do I do want to, I'm being very careful about committing to stuff, but I do want to do a live album review to celebrate getting to 15K. Did I listen to Zhu Wei's album? Is that specifically, so their name is Zhu Wei. I can check in my handy dandy YouTube. No, I have never reviewed Zhu Wei. But what we can do is we can have a listen to some of the music like in a live stream sometime, or because what happened, for example, is aside from the fact that people seem to watch the Bandmade videos, I do quite like Bandmade, so I like reviewing it for myself. I do like Wang Feng, which is why I want to review another track of his as well. It's just this week's been busy because we're trying to buy a house, and buying a house is quite, as I'm sure you guys are aware, there's quite a lot involved with buying a house. So we're just figuring out a few things around the place. Now I am just that's okay. But yeah, I don't think we have. What does Zhu Wei do? I know we've probably discussed him before. Zhu Wei. We've probably listened to him in these live streams. Yeah, I remember this album here. I think they'll have listened to a track from this album before. I think we're in chat time, aren't we? We're not really in intro time anymore. We're talking to people. So this is 43 minutes. Yeah, I think we have, Jimmy. I am open, like, honestly, guys, I think it's probably just worth assuming. It's probably just worth assuming that I'm open-minded enough to be able to listen to whatever you send through. I've listened to thousands and thousands of songs, and there have only ever been a few occasions where I have not been able to do a review. There have only been a few occasions where I haven't been able to review a song because it's been that terrible. Or there are very few occasions where I just have not liked the track at all. Always happy to hear more, though. So I think that we have some Ko-fi commissions, which is kind of cool. We have one from Dr. Theo. That's cool. So we're going to listen to Dr. Theo's track now. Thank you. Request. Thank you for your request. Now, I am going to do something here. I want to see if this comes up. If it doesn't, that's fine. I'm just going to just like quickly Streamlabs. We'll see if it works. Anyways, what has Mr. Dr. Theo got for us today? Here's a new metal song from a band I've never heard of that came out in 2024 that a distorted production is done on purpose. Well, I'm very keen to hear this, so let's go. Let's do it. So we've got the poll there if you want to check out an album review. Thank you for your requests, by the way, in terms of... Apparently the video is not available. Is there another way of checking this out? Because it says that I assume it's probably on Spotify. Is it like region locked or something like that? Is it a private? Is it a private one? Here we go. Found it. Is it okay if I listen to it through Spotify? I just can't. YouTube won't let me look at it. Once I've gotten confirmation from you, Theo, Miss Dr. Theo, I'll go from there, okay? Thank you. That's cool. Let's listen to it. Zodiac Memories from Diamond Construct. It's pretty good. I like it. The percussion is phenomenal. It's so intricate. Is this the Amira vocalist? Because he really reminds me of the Amira vocalist. I mean, the vocal fries. It's like they get the heaviness from the added industrial distorted elements. It's great how they're kind of squeezing it to make it punch more. I like the fact that rhythmically it's more oriented towards that respect, and it's making up for the fact that there's not as much variety within the melodies and harmonies. I do admit that the production quality on this album, this track, let alone the album, is really impressive. Because this is Zodiac Memories from Diamond Construct. I get the impression that it's someone that is clearly not in a position where they can drive, and I think they did really hurt that person that they were with in the car. They went into 110 miles per hour into a tree, and just the horror from that situation. Where's my fucking angel? I need you now. Fuck heaven, fuck hell. I can't help me now. So I'm assuming that it's afterwards. I'm assuming this is the person coming to terms with their behavior after it occurred. And it's such a brutal story there. I assume maybe the lady at the end is maybe the woman, the angel that the guy is looking for, and I think that's a really interesting angle. I appreciate the story, and I think that the vocals suit it. Not just the spoken voice from the lady at the end with the almost sort of like sci-fi electronic sort of synthy ambience there. Um, it's I love it. It reminds me a lot of the metalcore from the late 2000s, early 2010s, and I think it's a great place to make music in. But the vocal style with the vocal fry, the growls, the intensity, the heaviness of it was absolutely something that it was what this person was going through. It was that visceral response to it, the pain, the frustration, the angst, just it's awful. You could tell they're having a awful time with it, and it's so believable. I don't think you could have sung this in a way that would have been as affecting. The track at 4 minutes 13 is really well structured and laid out. I've got nothing but love from that. I think that just the combination of not only the guitar, bass, and drums, but the 8-string guitars that sort of drop tunes, usually working with the open strings, the palm muting, the wide variety of different rhythms with the chops in there. The guitar work was great. And there was some flat second chords, which added a bit of tension in those upper ranges as well, which was really neat. The bass line, I don't even know if there was a bass, if there was much of a need for a bass with how heavy it was. I think that there might have been some subs and stuff like that if there weren't basses. The drums they were frenetic. They were also phenomenal. They were so tight. and they niched really well with some of the wild phrasings of the guitar parts, whilst also keeping a set tempo and rhythm going forward. And I think they also knew when to not be there. There was filtering and production of the various devices and changing the way that they are textured and the way they sound within the mix. And they're layered and amalgamated in a way which is it's gross sounding. Like it's not meant to sound nice, but you could tell they're capable of that with how beautiful it was at the end with the pads, the synths, the notes there, the keys, etc., the filtered elements there. It was a wonderful contrast to what we had before and very effective. And I think the structuring of this track, I would assume it's more through composed. You have different chapters, different set levels of awareness of their own situation they go through, and you go through that journey with them. And I think that that's the power of a well-made album, is taking you from A to B in a way that's just it's done like this. And again, it's not the most happy, feel good, but I don't think music needs to be like that. That's kind of diminishes the effect of it. I don't think there's a way you could discuss this in a way that wasn't this. I can't imagine a way you could do it better. It's wonderful stuff. The performance was tight. The theme overall was just visceral. It strangled you, and when things were adjusted into different frequencies, were kind of cut or added, or things got more compressed in the post-production, stuff like that, you felt like you were being squeezed. And it's just so claustrophobic, and it makes you feel like what that person is describing and going through. And it makes me feel very confident and excited for the rest of the album. And I just think the post-production in general is wonderful. It's tight. It's so well leveled. You can hear everything in the mix. And when things are pushed, it's done in a way that makes sense within the arrangement and the and just studio work. It's nice now without pumping. There's dynamic range. Thank you to Dr. Theo for recommending Diamond Construct. I think they're a fantastic band. And I do like this kind of stuff. It's great. Great start to the live stream. Cheers. Yeah, I think the distorted stuff was definitely done on purpose. They're clearly very good at what they do. That's great. What do we have next, though? We have Jerry Huang. Thank you, Jerry. I appreciate that. Apparently, apparently Dr. Theo said, I don't know what that drop was, but I think it was record scratching. I wouldn't be surprised. They do sample stuff and kind of manipulate it, as I'm sure you're aware, and in ways where that it's exciting. Unexpected, but exciting. And Jerry's just submitted my favorite track from Suijian. That's awesome. Let's hear it. Let's do it. Good to hear more tracks. And this here is, again, from Suijian. How do you say it, by the way? Their name, because I feel like I'm getting it wrong. It doesn't seem like... I just don't trust myself to be as good about the pronunciation. We got track number 2 for today anyways. I don't know what it is. I think that's probably better. We'll see if... There we go. Sui Jien. Sui Jien. Thank you. I appreciate that. That's awesome. The harmonica is a nice touch, isn't it? Is that an accordion? Is that an accordion or a harmonica, actually? It is a shame, I know. But that's why I have you guys to tell me what it means. Great trade-off. Hello. So that was Sui Jian with a piece of red cloth. Now, I'm just going to quickly have a look through chat. Just Alejandro Obia, hi bro, I'm from Brazil. I can send you a song. You can go through the link, Alejandro, and you can submit a track through there. The link in the description of this live stream should go to Ko-fi. You can do a song request there, I think. So that should be all good. Thank you for asking. Hopefully you're well. Hopefully everyone here is well. The red cloth in front of his eyes represents the Chinese national flag and can also be the wedding bride's headscarf. So it can represent the Chinese culture, love, but still harmful there. Okay, so I assume, yeah, I don't know enough about what he's saying to comment too much on it, but it almost sounds like, yeah, let's talk about the track. So a piece of red cloth, I think, as you're saying, it's a song maybe about the love that he has for his country, but also maybe he's talking about some of the issues that are there as well. And so it's a song where it's major oriented, but you get the impression that it's not totally happy. Do you know what I mean? What else do we have? And you're welcome, Dr. Theo. Good luck with the driving. The lyrics are full of political metaphors. He once sang it live in front of the students at Tiananmen Square. That would have been an experience. That would have been an interesting experience. I can't imagine what that would have been like. The music, just before you get into the overall conclusion, I do like this track. I think it's really well done. Even though I'm not totally sure about the tracks about it, and I feel like there's a little bit of nuance that I will miss through not understanding the language. I still appreciate the way it was sung. It's a raw, gritty performance from Sui Jian, and I don't know how they could have possibly done it better. There are melodies that are repeated that are easy to listen to. They have a glow and a warmth to them. And that was awesome. And I think that he sang in a way that both voiced himself well, clearly expressed, but also traded off really neatly to like the trumpet stuff that was going on and harmonized really neatly with the accordion, guitar, and bass parts. Thank you to Jerry for confirming that it was an accordion. I appreciate that. So I think that with the vocal technique covered, like it wasn't an operatic performance, but it was done like this kind of like rocky, kind of acoustic rocky way that was very kind of like it was down to earth, and you could just kind of sit there and appreciate it and yeah, hear him out. I like that. And the track at 4 minutes 31 builds. You have, again, as I understand it, you have the guitars, the strum, steel string guitars at the start. And they're either sort of picked notes or open chords, and they're major oriented. And there are some suspended chords for a bit of neutrality, but ultimately they are major or minor chords. And I think that the bass parts work well on the undertow, but they aren't too prominent. The accordions that are there, they layer in the mid-range a nice warmth and glow to the mix that suit the tone of the vocals. Painful love. Thank you. So it's like I understand. So it's like love. It's a complicated love. It's a painful love. Is that kind of what it is? Hopefully I understand that. Thank you for helping me to understand it. Yeah, it is. It loops really neatly. I agree with that, Jerry. So the chord progression loops really neatly. And I think that, that just makes it easy to have over and over. Once you add the trumpet parts later on, they have their alternate voicing to the vocals. They respect what's initially there, but also add their own taste to it, a bit of flair in the upper range, some tails, a bit of spice to it. And then you add them more together as you go along. So I feel like it's you're walking towards the conclusion that Sui Jian wants. They're guiding you along the way in a way that's very satisfying, but you also know there's some heaviness underneath that. I think that the relative accessibility of the chord progressions throughout this piece, moving between verses and choruses and having sort of easy to sort of go along with progressions with really friendly sounding instruments for the most part. It makes it's a great song to listen to. Thematically, it's very warm and welcoming. And the studio recording, mixing, and mastering, it's done well. I can tell because I think this was uploaded like 18 years ago. So I think that the quality of the audio on this video is not super awesome, but like I still like that I got to hear it. I could tell what was going on. And I, no complaints at all. I think the leveling in general, the guitars, bass, the accordions, trumpets, vocals, etc., were leveled quite well, commercial grade, and it didn't sound over polished either. That's cool. So thank you very much to Jerry for that. I appreciate you putting that forward, Jerry Huang. It's about the complex emotional connection between the people and the party. Once a liberator and now a ruler, the people have gratitude towards them, but there were also contradictions in the history. The song was recorded in 1991. Yeah, I understand. My very limited understanding of that stuff is that was definitely a time. I don't know enough about it to talk about it. But I want to say before we move to the next track that I'm appreciative of the fact that we have music like this. Sometimes songs, especially like protest songs, can be more in one way than the other, but it's great when musicians can sort of talk about both sides and sort of like have really interesting takes on it. So cheers. I think that sometimes older songs can be timeless because of what they're discussing. And this seems like a situation where that is the case. But yeah, thank you, Jerry. I appreciate you putting that forward. We have a new track though from Paul. What has Paul got for us today? I would like to review more Sui Jian and at some point, though. I think that'd be good. So if they were to do well in the poll, I wouldn't mind reviewing them at another point. I think that my concern, I think that I'll need to put a condition in where we don't do the same musician twice in a row for the album reviews. I wouldn't mind doing an album every 1,000 subs, but that could be glacial. So we'll just see how we go. Although I feel like if we try and do more sort of like bigger musicians that people are interested in, it might help the channel grow a bit. But we'll see how we go. Poll for us today has got... What? What's Paul got? What has Paul got? He's not just a protest singer focusing on the lyrics. He really made breakthroughs musically. Yeah, and I think you were mentioning as well that he played the trumpet in an orchestra in Beijing. So he's clearly a really talented musician and really good at what he does. And I do appreciate being able to listen to people not only play their... I like when musicians can not only tell really compelling stories, but they can play the music well. I have respect for that as a musician, but also as a reviewer, you know. I feel like it can be difficult to get both to a level where it's sufficient to do what you need to do on a transformational level. But yeah. Let's go. We got Paul with Die From Sorrow. Let's get started. Thank you for this, Paul. I appreciate it. Eternal Watch. Very exciting. I do remember reviewing these guys. Very scary sea dragon here. That lead is phenomenal, dude. It's so clear. It's just so colorful with the guitar and key parts. Thank you to Did Don't Have for subscribing. Oh, they're filtering it as well. Oh, that major turn though. Dude, that was phenomenal. The setup for that. Going into those cleaner guitar parts with almost sort of like, I don't even know how to describe that genre. It's just such a contrast to a lot of those sort of Streamscape Union middle elements there. Middle chorus elements there that we had in the verses and like going halftime for the choruses. It's just these different chapters within this piece are so striking. And there's so much flair, especially in that solo section there. That guitar solo section was incredible. The clarity of the way we played the instrument. I understand how difficult it is to be able to play that well. And they're a machine. That would have felt so good to have pulled off in the studio. That they would have pulled that guitar solo off in the studio. They would have been so happy with that. I'm impressed with it, man. Unfortunately, we have a 5-minute limit on these tracks, which kind of sucks because I would have liked to hear the rest of it. But that is the deal with these live streams. 7-minute limit via the Patreon, but it's or is it 7.5? I don't know. Either way, like moving on. This song. Thank you to Paul for putting this forward. Jimmy says, I've listened to it before. I listened to the second song of this album. Like their riff. Their riffs are fantastic, man. Their riffs in this track are awesome. There's so many different cool ideas. Do I know what the song is about, apart from it being about Eternal Watch? No, I'm not sure what Eternal Watch means, but I feel like I don't necessarily need to know what it's about because I had such a great time listening to it. It's a really, like, the vocals, the kind of fryish nature to it, with some melodies and then some harmonies with the backing parts and the choruses are well handled. They have a caustic kind of tone to them, which suits the style of music. But in contrast to like the initial song we heard, which was predominantly more lower kind of drop tune focus, This piece, it focuses on there being a lot of the full use of the scales, working with the different notes within like the thirds and seconds and fourths and fifths, and we're not afraid to have different guitar harmonies. We're not afraid to have more colorful chords there. We're not afraid to work with parallel majors, which is when majors are when you don't use the expected minor chord. You use the major note instead, and they handle that well here. There were lots of they played around with those expectations within the solo sections as well. We had lots of fun ideas going. Like it's just we had lots. This was practically it wasn't through composed because it had like verses and choruses and different instrumental sections. There were concepts that were sequestered throughout and repeated and slightly altered. Like I think the more kind of tapped or sweet picky kind of bits there were just that was similar. And then we had the solo section being massive on top of that afterward, going into a final rush. It just they kind of changed the intensity of the guitar tones and bass parts. The guitar tones, especially going from distorted to clean, just as a bit of a vibe shift. But like even from the start of this track, it enters. You've got the sound of the shore and the waves. And then you've got like the guitar, the bass, and the drums coming up. The volume automation on that to go louder on top of the shore. It's just so it's so cinematic. And there's so much thought put into making it a really interesting, engaging experience by the band. It's great use of Foley to have the shore at the start, the waves. It makes sense when you look at the cover of the EP. It's just really done well. And it's a tight instrumental performance. The drummer playing an incredible amount of different sort of double kick, snare, and cymbal oriented parts. Having lots of fun with sub drops as well. Lots of fun stuff with the sub drops in this track there, going in between sections. But yeah, just really precise with the 16th and 30 seconds, especially. And the guitar as well, in tune with that and time with that. There was some 16th note grooves within this piece where the drums and guitar were rhythmically in sync. And it was just so tight. And the bass underneath playing nicely, pocketing alongside. And we might have had we had some keys, like some piano parts in the more kind of chilled situation with the tappy bits later on and interlude before the last solo. I think we also had some keys, some electric keys a bit earlier on as well, which was kind of neat. And so you just have a lot of fun, different ideas that are coalesced within it. And you stick them together and you have this song. And I adore it. I think it's really well played. It's almost got a minorish feel like you're overcoming a challenge, but there's like hope in the form of those parallel majors. And I don't really see what you could have done to like again without the understanding of the track, what it actually is about. I feel like that's the piece that's missing. But aside from that, it's very good. And yeah, just phenomenal performance from the guitar solos, especially in that end section, and the drums, bass, and everyone killed it. And the studio production is just damn near flawless. Like guitar, bass, drum, you hear all the different automations and things. No weird resonances in the free spectrum. Nice one, stereo field, music surround you, vocals here, and then backings here, for example. Hi, Jacob. How are you? You good? Hopefully you're well. We just listened to this track titled Eternal Watch from Die From Sorrow, and it was very, very, very good. Very, very, very good. Yeah, commercial grade production, phenomenal band. Thank you to Paul for sending this through, 47931. Nothing but love for that, man. I do like this EP. I hope that they did more with music. I don't know if this is their most recent stuff. Oh no, they did. They have released an album. Hey, they have. Oh, Jacob, you asked me what album I would like to check out at some point. I wouldn't mind checking out this one at some point. I do quite like Die From Sorrow. They are legitimately a really cool band. and David is going to check out this band, please do. They're great fun. But that's Paul's song done for today. What do we have next? We have three. Love Has Limits. Let's do that one next. This is why I don't trust Ko-fi. I'm going to add Love Has Limits. Thanks for your request. Just a friendly reminder that if on the YouTube channel, here, if we go to the post page here, there is a poll at the moment for people to decide what album we should do next. So if you're interested in checking that out, it might be worth that. That'll be the live album review that I want to do at some point. But we're at least sort of seeing what people are into. Happy New Year to you, Love Has Limits. But if you want to vote on that, you can do that. But it's on the channel anyways, which is cool. Anyways, where is Love Has Limits' track? It's in their Ko-fi probably. Okay, let's do it. So this is from Love Has Limits. Boom. So this is Glitter. Featuring Alyssa Jane. Let's do it. I think this might be an original. I could be wrong, but either way, let's do it. The vocal production is interesting how it's panned. It's interesting to go into a halftime part there. There's a swing groove and then you're going into straight 4/4. It definitely catches the attention. Okay, so that was Love Has Limits with Glitter featuring Alyssa Jane. What I think this track is about, like judging from the music video, you get the impression that this is someone who it's just this lady, this girl. She wants to feel like a woman. She wants to go out and have some fun, but also there's going to be a bit of destruction. There's going to be a bit of chaos. You get a feeling that this is not going to be there's going to be like you just go through the images in the video. There's a lot to take in. A lot to take in. I think that it's how is the animation done? Like, how is this designed? Because a lot of it comes together. Sometimes we have the samurai lady walking through, and then we have machine guns. I'm just sort of tying, and then there's multiple versions of them. Is it that they're gonna find people to kind of go and have that fun with when they go out? Is you know, I think it's cool. It's a cool idea. But I think that's about what the track is about. The vocals are fantastic. I love the production on it, in the sense that I like how the vocals are clearly recorded well. You have the great tone to them. We can sing well. We haven't overproduced them, but we also have all these other different vocal ideas on the sides, and you have overdubs and harmonies, and there's lots going on around the stereo field, and it's always interesting. I think it's something that will translate well to both speakers and headphones, but I also wonder if you would be recommended to listen through headphones to be able to get that better experience. But either way, it's a positive. You just get a bit extra with headphones, I suppose. So that's cool. And again, I think if Alyssa Jane is doing the vocals, they did a fantastic time. Most of the words came through clearly. There were some parts where it was a bit quicker, where I didn't necessarily. But still, I think otherwise it was well handled. I think you kind of get the concept for most of it anyways, to kind of dig in the rest. The track at 2 minutes 54, I feel, is well fleshed out. You have a swing groove there, predominantly made up of like guitars, bass, drums. And then there's like some modulated guitars going up an octave or something like that. So it has kind of like an indie rockish kind of feel to it, which is cool. And I think that part of why it almost seems a little bit sort of electronic is because of the fact that the vocals are all over you like have like really kind of grounded acoustic elements, and then like the vocals are moving around, and so it's kind of a surreal experience. But I think that makes it more unique. And again, it's just simply keeping the attention of the listener in that post-production. But the guitar riffs are relatively minimalist. We do have some bar chordal, or like maybe some like we have power chords and like single string riffs, and like focusing on the lower range of the instrument, I think, to make room for the vocals, and their various mid to higher parts there. We're very comfortable with the presence in the track. The bass line underneath typically syncing with that in a way that makes it strong and sort of like thick and full. The drum parts, we have, again, triplets, sort of snare fills going into parts with chord note accents of the crashes or cymbals, kicks, and snares. Sometimes we have less drums, sometimes we have more. We alternate and adapt. And I think that you need to have that, especially if you're going to go between triplets and sort of swing in a straight eight. You need to have defined transitions between, and the individual parts need to have their own reason to. So if they're too similar, it's almost like, why did you change the feel of it, quote unquote? It's almost like when things slow down to straight to 4/4, we're kind of figuring out what we want to do or looking at ourselves, and then when the triplets come in, we're on the move, etc. But yeah, I think there's enough variety within the different guitarists, whether they're power chord elements or sort of like almost like leady bits, or like they interact well with the vocals to be able to keep us going throughout. But yeah, a lot of the power comes from the vocals and the mid to highs and how the guitars behave with that. I think that the theme overall is meant to sort of more, I don't think the guitar riffs are necessarily, they're trying to sound a bit raunchy. I don't think the music is trying to infer too much of a feel. A lot of what's going on comes, I think, from the vocals and the attitude expressed through that. The way that Alyssa expresses themselves is tight. A lot of the value from the track comes from the vocals in that regard, but I think that everything else backs it up neatly. And yeah, the studio recording, mixing, and mastering in general is tight. Again, the vocal production is great. You can hear the guitars, bass, and drums easily within the mix. I've got no real complaints about it. It's nice and low without pumping. There's dynamic range. And there's pauses and bits where it stops. And that's great. You don't want it to be too much of the same. So thank you, Love Has Limits. Hopefully that's okay. Hopefully that's all good on your end. I appreciate you submitting that track. It's great to be able to hear it. I think it's an interesting concept. I just don't know enough about video animation. I'm typically very cautious about giving feedback on videos because I don't know enough about making videos to be like, I think this is done well, or I don't think this is. But opinion, it's a very intriguing video. I just think I'd maybe need a few times to kind of get the stuff together. But you've mentioned that I nailed the concept, so that's cool. So that's cool. That was Love Has Limits' track. So we've got David next. What does David has for us? And I'm glad that you liked it, Jacob. David has Amiibe by UK Rampage. I get the impression, I remember these guys being pretty intense. Like there's a lot to take in, but it'll be good to hear it. Auto translate. Hang on a minute. Does it auto translate? Hang on. So subtitles, auto translate. Yay to English. Thank you. Oh, polyrhythm immediately. It's so incredibly unique. I haven't heard a lot of music like this. It's so full of things, but they somehow all make sense together. And it would have taken a long time, I think, for them to get to the point where they could do that. Wow. 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 Okay. Okay. So that was Mebai by UK Rampage. What was that track? Thank you to David for requesting it. What do I think that track's about? My interpretation from that. Thank you for letting me know, by the way, that auto translation works, because I just would not have known otherwise. I do appreciate that. What do I think the track is about? I think it's about someone exploring their own ego, trying to understand themselves better, and then going on an adventure and getting to the stage where maybe they almost isolate themselves and try to sort of reconnect. It's just exploring their own sort of state and their own position in the world, going from like being on the floor to like in the garden. It's just trying to make the most of the situation they're in. I think that's a wonderful thing to discuss. Clearly, they're really talented, sophisticated musicians that have an awareness of how to stack these philosophical concepts and couple music that relates to it. The vocals from the lady, the singer, are tight. I think that they do handle themselves well, both within the arrangement, the mix, and just by themselves. They have a wonderful timbre and texture and tone to their voice. And it's very easy to listen to. I like the fact they explore their range, but not to a point where it's a detriment. They know how to navigate the complex extended harmonies, and as well as the key and guitar parts, and they never overstay their welcome. They know when to pause. It's masterful. So I think that the singing was great. Almost a lack of intensity with the expression allowed for so much room for everything else. So that was cool. The composition, the track at 3 minutes 18 was wonderfully fleshed out with a lot of different little chapters. The track begins with this, you know. I mean, you just have this massive, almost sort of like everyone's doing a solo section, and then the TV gets turned off, and then the person does a bit of introspection. You have these kind of rapacious, ravaging drum fills with the guitar going absolutely wild, the bass, the keys, etc. So much chaos, and then you turn that TV off and you start to think to yourself. I think invariably they eventually they get to a point where they accept that chaos, that noise is part of their life, and that allows them to grow. But you know, like, just it's a difficult song to describe. I mean, my best take on it would be that we're going through that journey with them. It's not technically through composed, but it kind of is, at least instrumentally, where we're exploring a lot of different chord progressions and bass lines. I mean, like that bass solo section and that later half there was just absolutely just incredible. I love what they did there. They simply just had the bass in that low and just carrying everyone along. Like, what more could you ask for? And there wasn't a lot of definition to a lot of the notes when they were down in that range, but the vocals just niched on top of that. But the bass player can play so incredibly well. Like, with their fingers, it's so quick, and they navigate the fretboard so effortlessly. And they know how to play those jazzy affectations, but in a way which makes sense with a lot of distorted, heavier elements within the mix from the guitars there, the kind of raucous, raunchy tone of the distortion there, mixing a lot of different extended chords, bar chords, and like lead melodies there that kind of either chromatically or harmonically work alongside it. So the bass and guitar are absolutely just phenomenal. The keys, either they're sort of synth pads in the quieter sections where they kind of sit and they float, or you've got more sort of like active, insidious kind of melodies as sub layers, or maybe even more dominant working in amongst the complicated progressions, the bass lines, etc. And the drummer can just I mean, we had polyrhythms from the start, so they're clearly very comfortable with what they're doing. And you just have really skilled musicians who know how to have a great chemistry together. And I think almost the explosion of sound that we have in these choruses is meant to represent the epiphany that the person is having telling the story in that hook section. I mean, there's just so much going on. You pick a part. Even in this part where there's almost sort of like strings or something like that going. There's moments where things pause and there's space, but not many. It's a track of constant action and actualization. Wonderful song. Not sure how to describe it apart from it is more sort of to represent maybe the emotionality or the intensity of the experience of the person telling the story. The studio production is commercial grade. Some of the cleanest stuff I've heard in a very, very long time. You've just picked great instruments to work together as well as great tones, textures, and timbres. But it's also the fact that you have just engineers that know how to niche and EQ and compress and limit and place things on different sides of the stereo field. They allow dynamic range. Song loud. Song great. Thank you to David for putting that track forward from UK Rampage. Titled Mebay. It's awesome, man. That is such a cool song. It honestly, like hearing musicians like that is inspirational. It really is. It's sobering because you realize as a musician that you have still got, it humbles you. But it's like, you can either you focus on yourself or you can look at all the wonderful music out there and appreciate it. And they're just incredible to listen to. So thank you to David for that. We have Jacob next. So that's exciting. What has Jacob got for us today? The Old Routine by First Aid Kit. And this is on Spotify, right? It is. That's cool. Yay! Awesome. Oh, this is very sweet. So thank you for this, Jacob. This Old Routine by First Aid Kit.
So you come on home, walk through the door. She's in the kitchen, searching through the drawers. So you stop and watch her and ask what she's looking for. She says she's not sure. Then it gets late and you turned off the lights. Her body is so close to you in the night, but you dare not touch her and you don't want to fight. So you just say goodnight. This old routine will drive you mad. It's just a mumble never spoken out loud. And sometimes you don't even know why you loved her. Well, you look at her now and you see why.
That's a beautiful resolution to that. I like that.
And your youngest is out fighting a war.
Great inclusion of the banjo here.
Say what he's fighting for. If he's gone because of war for you, and which you'd rather be true. This old routine will drive you mad. It's just a mumble never spoken out loud. Sometimes you can't even recall the sound of his laughter. Oh, well, did you ever really know the sound?
Oh, okay. And violining of the lead guitar. That's kind of cool. Okay, so that was First Aid Kit with their track This Old Routine. Thank you to Jacob for that recommendation. Jacob says, I'm guessing it's about parenthood and growing old and looking at your kids and thinking why you even lived the life you lived. I would agree with that. I think it's a comment both on how our life is the same old routine or this old routine, and we kind of look at it, well, almost like we sort of like going to give the subtitles a moment to kind of do their thing. My understanding of it is that the song is saying, some people resent the fact that life is predictable. They kind of want it to be more exciting, but then I think what happens is at some points you realize that it's better probably for life to be predictable because you end up being grateful for what you have because you never know when it will be gone or you never know when you'll forget it. So I think that it's introspective, but it's also kind of showing the sort of different angles of life day to day, maybe, but I think it's sung in a way where it's very wholesome. They're both really talented. They're skilled singers. Like, they're not super duper wild with the way they phrase or sort of construct their melodies and stuff like that. But it's just how almost rustic and nostalgic I feel for a time where I wasn't around, like the 70s and stuff like that. The way that they would harmonize is very much a time of the kind of focus stuff from that era. And they carry themselves effortlessly in a mix that gets more complicated as you go along. I mean, like, they show solid vocal technique, comfortable and hinge voice. They harmonize neatly. The track at 4 minutes 24, and it's almost like there's some kind of neutrality to the way that they sing. It's almost melancholic. It kind of reminds me a little bit of Lana Del Rey, a little bit with the way that they express themselves, even though I don't know how people will feel about that comparison. It's almost a little bit easy to in certain situations, And that's awesome. I'm glad part of the reason I think it makes people feel comfortable and calm is because it just is a really just friendly sounding track. Like, it's got these guitars that just sound bright and cheery, and they glow in the mix, and they're very easy to listen to. They're soft, and then you have like the bass line propping up those root notes as a consistent thing throughout. You have this kind of dulled bass drum that's just a quiet sort of thump. It's not got too much of a kick to it, excuse the pun. And then the snare drums are more like a marching thing, almost like time is marching on. And then I think you might have some keys at some point later on, which niche neatly within the sub layers. And you have some lead guitar violining, which is when you play you pick a note and then you put the volume up and then it goes wah, like that. So they're doing some violining with the lead guitars. And it was nice structurally to have a solo section with more between the different chorus iterations. And yeah, I think that there's more sort of like sub layers. There might have been some sort of like strings or something like that or other bits. Hang on. So there's definitely keys that play certain notes that the guitars do in the lead in the higher ranges. They're the picked ones. So there's like extra layers more and more. Gets bigger and bigger over time. And ultimately the theme is just very warm and pleasant. There's some minor chords, but I think it's meant to sort of resolve to a major, which insinuates that everything is going to be fine in a musical perspective. And the studio recording, mixing, and mastering is it's again, it's not over polished, it's not overproduced. There is a kind of an analog sheen to it. They could just clearly play their instruments. They were playing in the same room, from what I can tell. Yeah, it's great, commercial grade, and dynamic arrangement, nice and loud without pumping. It's awesome. And yeah, they could just sing. They didn't need any help in post. So thank you to Jacob for putting this track forward. This Old Routine. I agree. It's a very peaceful sounding song, and I'm glad to have heard it. It's cool. It's good times. Lots of different types of tracks today. What have we got next? We've got 3. We've got 3 after this. We've got It's All Cap. How you doing, It's All Cap? I know you were asking when the live streams were. You're welcome, Jacob. Thank you for, genuinely, thank you for sending it through. I know I've said this before, but honestly, if it weren't for your sending tracks through, I probably wouldn't be listening to new music. Don't mean for that to be huge. The text, I mean. I don't mean for the text to be huge. When you guys put through music, it helps me to learn new stuff, and I appreciate it. So this is from It's All Cap. What have we got from them today after this really chill track from First Aid Kit? So this is an original. So It's All Cap is a musician I've been checking out for a while now, and it's good to hear more of their stuff. This is titled Cope Aesthetic. I'll just put that in the list. Let's go. Let's do it. It's very different to the previous track.
Beggars can't be choosing, the sinners never told a lie. They don't win, they don't lose to the day that they die. Sinners, takers, and the givers, and the ones on push aside. Everything will be the same again, everything will be alright. It'll never be this way again, you know I said it right. It was writing on the wall, out of mind and out of sight. Find another way to tell you once again you'll be okay. And you'll never feel the pain again, I'll leave it go away. I'm so proud about the way lost, running to this day. I'm so proud about the way lost, running to this day. Running from the bed, but now I guess we'll never know. Jesus, I'm capping me, so sorry, I suppose. Try to see it, tell the script, you give it to me, man. Just come out it is, who always I never run.
I like how the vocals and guitar sync up. Great panning of the cars on the left. This song kind of sounds like it's a release of some kind. I'm going to just quickly check through the lyrics because I just want to just have a quick look through those. Man, there's so much to take in. Find another way to tell you once again you'll be okay and you'll never feel the pain again. I'll even go away. I'll still bothered by the way that I'm still joining to this day. Okay, so I assume that basically this track is potentially talking about how we're coping with the life around us, and it's discussing the life that we're living, if that makes sense. And I think that that's cool. I think that that can be it's honest music. It's honest music. There's more context there. I just feel like I'd probably need to like listen through the different way that we voiced things in this track was really it is very grunge. Okay, let's try and structure this. So again, I think the story is potentially talking specifically from the perspective of someone who is sort of struggling with their life, and it's almost the aesthetic of having to sort of cope with everything that's going on, and just get more and more gets piled on as you go along, which is why you kind of have that sort of scream part at the end, and why there is more intense vocals at the end of the track. But throughout this part, after all the chaos of those guitar parts at the start with the various discordant tunings and chords and melodies, you get the impression that it's simply us working through all of that chaos within the verses and choruses, etc. And I think that's cool. Yeah, the vocal style with the fry represents effectively, I think, what we're discussing within that. I don't think we could have sung this cleanly in a way that would have had the same effect. So I thought that was smart. And the melodies and the way they worked alongside the different power chord progressions on the guitar, working with the bass and drums, also made a lot of sense. I think that having different layered vocal parts was good because you had different tones of voice for those different parts, so it added a sense of variety throughout. And I think that even in a short form track, you shouldn't take the listener's attention for granted. So that was good. The track at 1 minute 58 with the guitar parts at the start, and then the inundation of information throughout in a way which I got a lot of it through, but not all of it. But that's okay. It's a very tight sounding mix with the guitar kind of sort of choking you a bit. The intensity, how it kind of grinds away, not including the start where it's very sort of discordant and dramatic. You then move into that verse where it's a bit more lenient, but to allow the vocals a platform to be on. And then you have the bass kind of thumping away underneath. Consistent kick drums with the kick working with the cymbals and snares and 16th note sort of snare patterns. It very much reminded me of Breed by Nirvana a little bit. I think it's a similar speed or tempo to that. And the tone of some of the instruments is very similar as well. I feel like we could have potentially fit like another guitar like lead on top of it at the end, maybe even work some flat seconds into it, but I still think for what we were trying to fit in there, it was great use of time. It was meant to represent an specifically quite intense period, I think, that we're discussing within it. And so I think musically it makes sense. Musically it makes sense. Thank you. And so when you the intensity of the drums, the guitars, the bass, the structure of it, when you bring it together with the vocals, it just sounds like someone is sort of like struggling with the cope aesthetic. They're trying to seem like they're on top of it, but they're not. The music represents that with the minor leanings as well as some of the sort of chromatic phrasings and sort of chaotic other parts of the song. And yeah, ultimately, I think it works. It's wild, man. The studio recording, mixing, and mastering, it's good. I don't know what we could have done necessarily to prove it, in the sense that I think that if it had been a cleaner mix, it might have sounded a little bit too polished. But I also feel like you couldn't have made it more gritty sounding than you had without it being sort of taking away from it. So I feel like you could hear everything that you needed to in the mix. The way the drums were sidechained was solid, and the vocals did come through in the positions for the most part. There's like a wow sound that I could hear at one part that I didn't quite get. That was repeated like 4 times near the end, but it might have just been a call and response. But either way, it's a positive impression to your songs in 2025, and I wish you the best of luck with your music in the new year. So thank you. Thank you for sending that through its all cap. It's good to hear it. What have we got next? We have got Car 16. Thanks for your request. So what has Car 16 got for us today? Hi, could you review Everblue by Omoi Notake? Thank you. I can definitely do that for you. Car 16, thank you for asking. Let's get that sorted for you, eh? So this is on Spotify this time, which is good. Hey, here we go. Got the keys and the shaker at the start. Let's go. Thank you for your request, Car 16. Okay. No, not bad, Elvin. How are you? Happy New Year. You're welcome, it's all Cap. Keep up with the great tunes. Interesting groove with the kicks on this one and snares. Oh, and the saxophone, man. That's fun. Oh, that was cool. An organ and a key at the same time. That kind of sounds like it would be the theme song for a really classy anime intro. I loved that. Thank you to Car16K for sending through Omoi Notake's track Everblue. What do I think the track is about? I'm not quite sure. I'm not sure what it's about. I'm not as familiar with the language I need to be to understand it, but I do nonetheless appreciate being able to listen to it. Um, the vocals were handled absolutely. They can sing really well. Very comfortable in their vocal range, hidden chest voice. Navigated the complex arrangement quite well as a focal point. They went to falsetto, I think, at some parts, or at least like mixed voice, and that was kind of neat as well. They maintain great presence, and yeah, honestly, it's just it's classy. It's a really classy take. And there was some like vocal sort of like melody tails there that kind of spun around a bit of vibrato and stuff like that was kind of cool as well. It was neat. So I think a lot of the power behind this track as well is the instrumental backing. So like at 3 minutes 59, it's incredibly well fleshed out. We have verses and choruses and little interlude parts and instrumental sections and breaks. But we also have a saxophone solo, so that usually gets another couple of points from me. If we go back to the start, now you have like, well, how many different instruments do you have? You have like shakers, and then you have the drums, then you have the keys, and then the bass, and then the trumpets on either side, so harmonized trumpets. And oh man, they each have different functions, and they're so clear in the mix. But then they come together in parts, and like you have ba ba ba, and sort of some snares going with that. And just like they kind of do their own thing and they dance around and they come together for their main quarter note groove. And it's incredibly effective. And then the sing isn't immediate. Oh no, it is near immediate. They come in pretty early on. And just a little peppiness of the staccato chords on the right hand. It's very energetic and it works well to highlight the gaps between the chord note kicks there, whether they're working with the snares, rides, kicks, crashes, etc. With the offbeat hi-hats and the chorus line of the drums also being a point of interest for me. I just think they smash that sort of like disco aesthetic there that they're trying to go for, the dance, the excitement and energy of that. The extended sort of seventh chords on the keys keep it more low key, although they do sort of like, there are some parts there's some like melodies that I think the organ on one hand or like the electric keys go with the actual piano, and they sort of like play on each other on the different sides of the stereo field, which is really cool. The bass line thumping away with some slap in that second verse there. I appreciate it. Rolls the root notes and walks, but it also knows how to keep its own presence in the mix. So that's well explored. And are there... I don't think there's any guitar in this, are there? Is there? I think it's... If there's another lead instrument, it's a saxophone, which comes in at a later date and just replaces the vocalist in a way that's very meaningful. It has its own identity in the mix, was paying homage to some of the ideas that they put in there. But then you also have the trumpets sort of like accenting certain parts there, and it's just a whole entire big band sound, which I think has great energy to it, as I mentioned. It's very upbeat and positive, despite how much sort of like the extensions of those chords kind of keep it a bit more sort of like low key. It's fun, but it's in a very measured, mature way. And I just think that it's got a lot of, there's this little chromatic shifts and maybe even some parallel major minors that are going on there. The chord progression, that chorus section is very much a staple of this kind of genre, like the Japanese stuff that's coming out at the moment. That has been for the last decade. And it works just as well here. And thematically, I think it's just trying to, with the string as well in the background is like a sublayer. I think it's just trying to sort of make nostalgic for maybe when you were younger, trying to get you to sort of dance and groove along to it, have a bit of fun in a way that doesn't overcomplicate things. I'm sure there's some more context in the lyrics that I'm missing here because I don't know the language, but like either way, it's very well done. The studio recording, mixing, and mastering is fantastic. You can hear the vocals clearly, as well as the different sort of layers on that front, the trumpet, saxophone, strings, bass, drums, keys, etc. All those are well peppered throughout. And yeah, honestly, just again, it's commercial grade. A lot of the stuff from Japan is just so good. It's so clean with its studio side. and you just got a great chemistry on top of that with everyone else to kind of pull it to the finish line. So thank you to Car16K. I appreciate you putting the track forward. It was great to hear the song from Omoi no Take titled Everblow. I'm glad that Jacob liked it. Alvin K says also, I would say for albums Sui Jian, Wubai, and Zhu Wei, albums aren't bad to review, all have interesting works. Well, please feel free to suggest them or vote for them in the poll, and I would like to review an album from them. Whoever people decide. What do we have next, though? Do we have another track? It's okay if we do not. We have 2 more to go. 2 more tracks to go. Sup, Shredders? I'm going to close the queue soon, as it's nearly dinner time. Thanks for your requests and for the good vibes. Actually, can I go to that and actually I'm gonna close the queue now because I need to go get some food soon. Food is important. But I have enjoyed reviewing songs today. It's been great. And I think we'll just continue to try and get the hang of doing 3 streams a week. And it should be good. We've got 2 more tracks, though. Thank you to everyone for your requests so far. I really appreciate it. Thank you for supporting the channel as well. It's good to be able to review stuff. And we've heard some really cool songs today. My personal favorite is probably... Honestly, I liked Diamond Construct, but I also like this track Everblue. There's a lot of really cool songs today. This track from Chromino, wherever that is. Have I added that? Oh, thanks for the request. There we go. Is titled Furete Yurete Gentle Miyano featuring Shifuyu Hanakuma. That one got me there for a moment. So let's go. Let's do it. Is it good? Is it opening? It will open now. Yay! So apparently these are synthesized vocals. I like him. I think they're cool. It's those little sub-layerish kind of little little drill snare fills and stuff like that that go effortlessly into the next part that really make me happy. And that little extra bar there to go up with those octaves. Great little switch up there. I mean, to have multiple solo sections in a song is not as common as you'd expect, but I appreciate it. We got that fade out at the end. Nice. That was good vibes. So, that was a track from Chromono, requested by Chromono, from Gento Miyano, titled Furete Yurete, title featuring Shifuyu Hanakuma. I love it. I'm not sure what the track is about, but I think the vocal style is just so soothing and pleasing to the ears. It's very pretty and it's kind of neutral sounding, so it doesn't interfere too much to try and switch the mood up of anything too much around it, aside from giving it a sense of a real sort of chill vibe. Navigates a lot of the different elements within the mix really effortlessly. I don't really know how to sort of comment on like the vocal technique considering it's synthesized vocals, but I think it's very sort of like believable. I don't know that this is I don't clearly know that this is a synthesized vocal set just by listening to it, you know. It's not too on the nose. So I kind of like that it kind of mixes things up a little bit, or like kind of muddies things a little bit in a way that's positive. But anyways, the track itself at 4 minutes 23 is well fleshed out. There are several verse and chorus sections, little instrumental breaks, and a couple of, like, there's a guitar solo and like a key solo section. If we go back to the start. I mean, like, stay up all night long and stuff like that. Is it about having fun, staying up all night long, just kind of chilling out, having a good time? Is that the kind of sort of like vibe? Like, you get like the bell trees up, or like the keys there, making it seem like it's a sort of a sleepy endeavor. Those kind of cozy vibes where you're up at night with a warm blanket and you're just kind of enjoying life, I suppose. Is that the kind of identifier it's going for? But you start immediately with the vocals, the drum kit, with the, what is that, kicks or snares? It's the claps. So it's the claps. You got the claps, the filtered keys there being sort of like very sort of like low mid oriented there to not interfere too much with what the vocals are doing there. So things are instantly sort of notched within the frequency spectrum straight away. And you keep moving, you move in with like sort of like a triplet to the drum fill thing, moving into a chord note accent with those kick snares and kit on the percussion. And, you know, moving on from that, like you've got some more sort of vocaloidish kind of synthy parts going on with the keys playing those extensions, but accenting certain parts of those chords as well to kind of switch them up and arpeggiate. The bass line underneath funky as hell, working between the octaves as well, like moving you forward, but in a way that's very kind of groovy and having a great sense of unison with the drums. And I'm pretty sure as you go along, there are some guitar parts there that decorate the mid-range in a way that's very sort of like chic. And like you have off sort of an organ key focus and bass and drums for a lot of it. When the guitars come in and the breaks there, it's meant to sort of indicate either that a solo is coming or like a change and adjustment from the main vocal lead in those choruses. And the initial solo section we had with the guitar was very sort of like, it wasn't too in your face, but there was a sense of vigor about it, and it navigated what was going on very effortlessly with a kind of a grainy tone that added a bit of kind of dustiness to it, but in a way that didn't discolor the piece. And we explored the range, went up a little bit higher, etc. And unless we'd like, yeah, it's almost just like we wanted to sort of, yeah, exactly. Like we had a bit of bounciness to it as well, and we kind of explored some sort of chordal elements there within the solo to kind of make it a bit more kind of spicy. But it wasn't trying to sort of overtake the entire mix or switch it in a new direction. It was more complementary to the initial concept. And the key section that we had later on kind of sparkled in a way that it filled in a certain function, but because of the almost synthetic tone to it, it kind of meshed a bit more neatly with some of the 808, like the low kind of bassish or more digital elements within the piece as well. So it kind of rounded out the bell curve a bit more cleanly. And you just, again, like the arrangement is complicated, not because of the rhythmic elements of the bass and drums and how everything kind of syncs with that, and you kind of have accents with parts of the vocals and the words and stuff like that. It's more that you just have so many things doing so many bits at different times that if you try and tear it apart, it seems like a lot. But because it's so well designed, it just seems like it's one sort of unit regardless. And again, you have that synth solo come in with the synth pads, really sort of like finessing those more sort of like electronic elements there. For a piece that's very well rounded, honestly, like I think it's meant to sort of more be less. It's not trying to be too polar and polarized in regards to the major or minor influences, because I think it's trying to sort of be kind of cool and calm and collected, but also trying to sort of gently invite you to kind of get up and dance with them in a way that's kind of fun and refreshing, but not too much, if that makes sense. That's what I get from everything involved within this track, including the vocal style. Studio production at this point, again, like as with a lot of stuff today, no real issues with it. I think that the way that the vocals, the guitars, the keys, everything come together is meaningful. Kicks the sidechained effectively, bass and sort of synth elements. Like there's, again, there are layers to it where you can kind of take things at different values. Yeah. But I think it's difficult to mix and master stuff like this, and I feel like they handled themselves really well here. No complaints. But yeah, that's effectively is dynamic range, nice and low, that pumping. This track from Ginto Miyano titled Furete Yurete featuring Chifuyu Hanakuma. Hopefully that wasn't too butchered in regards to the pronunciation, but thank you very much to Chromino for that pick. That was good vibes. And I think we have one more song today from Jacob. And then I think we're going to go get some food. Okay, let's do it. So, this is the last track for today. This is from Jacob. So let's get Jacob up here. Thanks for your request. Here we go. Jacob. And there's a little gap under there as well. Sandy featuring Tanya Chua, if I'm not mistaken. Not butchering that pronunciation too much. Here we go, let's do it. Last track of the day. Try not to pause it again. Just my limited understanding of the language is it's so like the different words, you say it a different way and it means something different, right? Like there's slight differences with the way you pronounce certain things and they mean something different. And that would be incredibly difficult to do when you're rapping. That would require such precise, phenomenal control, and I have a lot of love for what they're trying to do there. So I think that was Sandy featuring Tanya Chua. So I'm gonna just put that into apparently this is no work today. That's what that translates to. That was cool, man. Hmm. I'm not sure what this track is about. I'm not as familiar with the language, and even if I think I would need to have a really incredible understanding of the language to be able to understand the rapping. But I enjoyed listening to it. I can appreciate both the flow of the main rapper in the front, especially in those faster sections in that second half where it just came through like machine gun fire. And I can appreciate Tanya coming through and just absolutely laying it on thick in that mid range. The incredible contrast between the sung vocals and the rap parts there was stellar. The plot twist, the big reveal, just boom, smashed it. And the way that Tanya would add little melodies or vocal bits to the behind the rapping parts was kind of cool because it just added a bit of extra dimensionality to it. It wasn't trying to sort of like just be, how do I describe it? It wasn't just being a rap song. It made it seem a bit more sort of like full sounding because you had that extra bit of color behind the string parts, the call and responses, the bass, the drums, etc. I think the orchestral elements at the start were really cool. They had a lot of tension and sort of like, oh, where's this going to go here? Almost made it sort of seem like you're going to enter a movie or something like that. And then when we got onto the stage and really started spitting, things became a little bit more sort of simplified instrumentally. But the groove of the drums was there, the bass sort of iterating on those root notes as well. Very sort of simple chord progression, especially when those guitars came in that chorus section there, added a more of a foundation for Tanya to do their thing on. And I think that was good because you just rounded out the frequency spectrum really neatly there and the different layers there. But it added a nice contrast between the more sort of staccato oriented verse bits, and then you had the guitar harmonies and that, and to sort of contrast that. So I think like structurally it's a track that makes a lot of sense and just flows effortlessly. But there's a lot of like drama behind it, and I think that they played off each other well. There was a chemistry between the members on the stage. The different drum kits were interesting with like tambourines on one and sort of the kick and sort of like the occasional drum fill switching in that kind of rock aesthetic was cool. I think overall the theme of it was almost like you were going to war or something, or going to battle or something. Almost like the sung parts were talking about maybe the regrets or what was causing you to go that way, maybe the things you were going to lose over the way. I'm not quite sure. But yeah, really sort of easy, accessible instrumental backing, lots of range with the flow, the rapping of the top, the words coming through clearly, and then the sung parts being contrast rhythmically and melodically. And then the studio recording, mixing, and mastering been pretty good. I feel like the lead parts on the guitar on the left side were maybe a little bit too prominent for me in certain parts at the beginning, but I still think it was still well handled across the board with the leveling, and everything else was tight with dynamic range. And yeah, it sounded like a rap rock track. It worked well for 10 years ago in 2014. And I'm glad I heard it. So thank you to Jacob for that. Now, I think this is actually the end of the live stream. I don't know if anyone is here, but if you are, thank you very much for watching this live stream, the second one for the year. I was supposed to have one on Thursday, but then I didn't because I think there was some house stuff I had to do. The house stuff is starting to come to a close. I'm looking forward to that not being a thing to have to consider anymore, just so that things can be more sort of chill and sort of like consistent. But we're here today. Thank you to the following people who sent through tracks. Actually, I should go down here. We had Dr. Theo, Jerry Huang, Paul7931, Love Has Limits, David, Jacob, It's All Cap, Car16, Chromino, and then Jacob again. Thank you to all of you for your requests. It was really great to listen through your music. Hopefully the reviews were good. Hopefully you'll have a fantastic weekend. Hopefully you're having a fantastic 2025 so far. Please do remember to go if you want to. There's like if you're unsure of the scheduling of the live streams on the Discord. There's a post on the YouTube channel at the moment, a community post that outlines which album we might review for a 15K, because we recently got to 15K subscribers, which was cool. And otherwise, stay cool and stay safe, and please remember to support your local musicians and artists at this point in time, as need the help more than ever with all the crazy stuff going on in the world. And I will catch you in the next live stream video, whatever suits. Spiderhands out. 3, 2, 1.